It's worth remembering. Hamas holds 125 hostages, including 5 Americans. They're underground inside Gaza. They've been starved, tortured, and likely raped for 224 days. Miha Schwartzenberg is with us, expert in humanitarian campaigns, former television journalist for 25 years, reported from Iraq and Afghanistan. Miha, I'm glad to have you with us. Is there a way, somehow, to get the story of the hostages back in the news?
Hi, Leland, and hi, everyone. I will say like this. This was a very sad day, as you can imagine, in Israel and probably in the Jewish communities, because it was somehow we expected that tragedies like this will happen. We know from different sources, we know from intelligence that some of the hostages might be dead and we're gonna recover just bodies. But when it really happens, it breaks not only everyone's heart, but it breaks that nation's heart. It's tough to talk about it, but we'll never give up. Your question was, how do we bring this again on the news? I would say forget the news. I would prefer to forget about the big media outlets who were never very, let's say, never in a hurry to talk about hostages. I would try to put these stories in everyone's heart, if it's possible, in everyone's social media. I would try to make people talk about it, to make people stop torn their posters, especially in America. I have to say it, for some reason, they had this displeasure to torn the hostages of the...
You think about what the Prime Minister of Israel has said about this. Heartbroken for the great loss. My wife Sarah and I agree with the families. We will return all of our abductees, the dead and the void alike. I wonder if he meant alive. I think that's a Hebrew translation by Google that didn't quite work. I congratulate our brave forces who, with determined action, returned boys and girls to their homeland. You think about that comment. You also realize that the Israelis left for a long time. We're getting some feedback on, I think, your microphone. But the Israelis waited outside Rafah, where these 3 hostages' bodies were found, for weeks, maybe months, because of pressure by President Biden on Prime Minister Netanyahu. At what point do we have to acknowledge that both men, both Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu, are making a lot of decisions based on their own political self-interest and not on the interests of what we just talked about, which is getting the 125 or so Israelis and 5 Americans home as soon as possible?
Look, I'm going to tell you how it looks from Europe looking to America. I'm not a voter. I don't care really about what's going on, but I care about everything which has a connection to our hostages and to what happens in Israel. So I would say that, to me, the insistence of President Biden to not let the IDF go into Rafah was very suspicious. All his changes of moods, like almost like a woman at a certain age, and I'm talking about Mr. Biden, of his one day he's completely the Israel ally, next day he's against, don't do this, don't do that. To me, that was a very cheap show, if you want. To me, it looks like he really cares just about his political situation there, and very, very little about American hostages or about hostages in general. But I would say, from my perspective, that what Netanyahu is doing, it's not necessarily connected to politics. I think it's more connected to what's really important right now: the hostages, the destruction of Hamas.
Yeah, what Netanyahu's doing may be more connected to his own political survival, I guess. Inside Israel, I think you make a great point in terms of President Biden, that we just don't hear from the American president about American hostages. I don't remember the last time he mentioned their names. Miha, thank you very much. We appreciate the time.
He had an entire interview at CNN a very short while ago, and he was talking about everything in the important to him, but not a single word about the hostages, not even the American hostages. And this is something I cannot forget, if you want, about President Biden.
I think there's a lot of people who can't forget it either.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.